Good afternoon, wrestling fans. Man, do we have a show for you. We got the 145 through 285-pound quarterfinals and semifinal results from Hershey. And my gosh, guys, we thought the earlier rounds were exciting. We had said that on our last show. How is the next round going to top the early rounds because we had such good results? I don't know if it topped it, but it certainly came pretty close. And it started off at 145 with number 1 in the state, number 3 in the nation, Wyatt Henson, going wire to wire with sophomore Dagan Condomiti from Northampton. He had to come back from a 7-1 deficit to come back to win it 11-9 in sudden victory. Huge match there, Eric. You got to see that one, and man, I mean, he waited till the last second to really pull that one out, did he not?
Yeah, it was crazy because I know, we have the text group going, and a couple of people are like, is that score right? Is it supposed to be the other way around? Like, just turn it on. Is Henson really down 7-1? I was like, yep, he's down 7-1. And then he just flipped the switch, and, everything changed. And I heard his dad, Sammy Henson, talking to him back there. And he said, did you believe? Did you believe? Didn't I tell you? And, you could tell that Sammy had been coaching him up during, I think there was an injury timeout or something, and it really seemed to change after that, Wyatt just got things going and got an escape and then got a takedown. And then before you know it, he's back in the match. He's playing the takedown game, able to tie it up at 9, send it to overtime, and then win it in the overtime. So just another example of Waynesburg being able to kind of break a guy with pace and just keep pushing and attacking. And the Coach Throckmorton talked about the mental aspect in his room and how they're just so mentally tough that all of those guys, 5 state finalists now after this round, and they all push each other, not just physically, but mentally too. And they just kind of one up each other and bring each other along with them.
Yeah, and you got to talk to Coach Throckmorton after this round, and you said, is there a better round than this? You got, 5 guys in the championship finals. And what was his answer, Eric?
Yeah, I said, can you imagine a better day than 5 in the finals? He said, yeah, 5 champs. So, okay, good answer. Touche, yeah. Coach.
Touche, Coach. And, if you look at the team scores, Dysen, I know you were checking them out. Waynesburg's rolling away with it. Is that correct, Dysen?
Yeah, it's 84-41. They lead Bethlehem Catholic. And like we said, they're 5 in the finals. And I believe Bethlehem Catholic only has 1 with KSAC.
Yeah. So, I think it's safe to say Waynesburg's going to do pretty well and win a state championship, individual team championship, and then they have a chance, of course, in a couple weeks to win a dual team championship at Cumberland Valley High School. Now, let's go back to the brackets and let's talk about the weights here, because at 145, it started out with a bang. Sam McMonagle from Westchester Henderson beats Ty Linsenbigler of Hempfield. That was a very good match, 9-4 win for McMonagle. 2 guys that were state medalists last year. Then, of course, Condomiti, again, takes Henson to the brink. He's able to come out with a 7-1 lead, but Henson just kept on chipping away, and I could hear Sammy Henson in the background, kept on telling him, believe, get your shots, and it seemed like, Wyatt was really taking in what his dad was saying, because he looked calm, he never looked kind of panicked or flustered. He just kind of chipped away. He finally gets the win, and then Henson beats McMonagle 7-4. Another really good match. Henson's been pushed in this tournament. There's no doubt about that. And on the bottom half, again, some really good results. Connor Eck from Bensalem, he beats Riley Bauer from Williamsport 3-2. I thought that was a very good match for the senior over the junior. And John Altieri survives William Morrow from North Penn. Again, a lot of tight matches here. There was no major decisions in that first round, which was unlike what we saw in previous rounds there. Eric, could you feel in the Giant Center, I know there's not fans there, but could you feel like that 145 kind of got things rolling a little bit?
Oh yeah, absolutely. As you said, so many good matches in that in the quarterfinal round, and then it just built on that with the semifinals, because that Altieri victory over Connor Eck, that was a crazy one that they were actually discussing. Was it overtime? Was it a point for victory for Altieri? And it kind of went back and forth, and they ended up saying it was 8-7 Altieri there, so kind of a wild win there. So just a really fun weight class.
Yeah, overall, I mean, it 1 and 2 are in the state finals. So we see in the state finals we have John Altieri from Norwin and Wyatt Henson from Waynesburg. These guys wrestled in the finals of the Super Region in the West last week, and of course, Wyatt Henson lost by disqualification. He got in on his kind of blast double signature, lifted Altieri up off the mat, and brought him down on his neck and head area. Luckily, John Altieri is okay, and in fact, he's so fine that he got into the state finals with a rematch with Wyatt Henson. Now, these guys have wrestled before that with Henson winning. Just a lot of, I wouldn't say history here for Wyatt Henson because he was in the state finals and won it with Sammy Hilligus before, but I mean, this is a different type of match for him. He's expected to win this one, and really this one, he lost last week on a disqualification, but clearly, Henson is the favorite. He was pushed though, Dysen, when you look at this match, having Condamiti push him, do you think that's in his head a little bit with Altieri?
I think it's definitely gonna be a close match. Maybe closer than some people expect. I think Altieri is gonna come ready to roll. He knows what Henson's gonna bring, and I think he'll be able to make the adjustments and keep it to a close match and possibly pull a win off.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. I think, you look back at their results throughout their careers wrestling, and, Altieri won by DQ last week, but Henson beat him 8-3 in the regional finals there. Eric, what are your thoughts after seeing Henson? Because I'll put it to you this way. Altieri had to really push to get to the finals himself because he had to win that 8-7 match with Eck. So neither one of these guys are blowing people away, so to speak. They're really tight matches there. I'm expecting a tight one, probably a little bit tighter than an 8-3 match that we saw go to regulation.
Yeah, I'm not sure that we've seen the best out of either of them so far. Maybe we'll see that tonight. But Henson, in addition to falling behind 7-1 in that one, he got the big lead on McMonagle, but then McMonagle got, I think, 2 straight takedowns and was really kind of pushing that. I mean, there was a time there where you're like, man, is he going to come back and tie this thing up? And, he wasn't able to do that. But Henson has looked vulnerable at times.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, Eric. And I was going to mention that with McMonagle, he had the 5-0 lead going into the third period. McMonagle scored 2 takedowns in that third period to cut it to 7-4. Henson getting the escape. So, like you said, vulnerable is the word I would use, but he finds a way to win. So there's really I'm still going to go with him in the finals, but he definitely is. He's going to have his hands full there at 145 pounds with John Altieri. Let's go up to 152 pounds where, guess what? We got a rematch, a true power match that we saw in back in October. It seems like forever ago now. AHR Alejandro Herrera Rondon going for his 3rd state title against Rocco Welsh, who's in the finals for a 2nd year in a row. He was in the finals last year at 126. He goes all the way up to 152 for this year. Opening round, though, these guys had battles. Rocco Welsh, Chase Barlow from Strathaven was an absolute battle. There was a lot of talk on the Twitter internet about lack of calls there. Apparently, Rocco Welsh had several takedowns that weren't called. Do either one of you want to comment on that, Eric or Dysen?
I was doing an interview. I didn't get to see his. I did. I know that he won it late there. He got a takedown, I think, to win it 2-1. But I did see some clips on Twitter that made it look like he probably should have had another takedown or 2 in that one.
Yeah, and in fact, I was kind of keeping an eye on another match. It was Evan Gleason and Jared Kessler, and I know, Eric, you interviewed Jared Kessler. Jared Kessler was ahead 1-0 on Evan Gleason, 2 guys that were state medalists last year. Gleason's going to Harvard next year. He was losing to Kessler 1-0, and then Kessler caught him, not caught him, but he turned him and pinned him and got the fall in 4 minutes, 18 seconds to make it to the semifinals, where he met with Rocco Welsh. Now, that one was a wild match, and I feel like that one just kind of went back and forth, and I don't know if it's the same ref, but there's a ref that makes some questionable calls, and there was a reversal that was awarded. Rocco Welsh took off his headgear. He thought he lost. He thought the match was over, and all of a sudden he's like, "Wait, okay, it's 6-6 going into Southern Victory." Eric, what was it like in the Giant Center watching that match? Because that one seemed weird.
Well, it was a great match. It was 4-4 in the third period, And I was actually thinking that Kessler might try an inside trip. I'm like, he looks like he's set up here. He could try it. And instead, it was Welsh that tries the inside trip, gets it, gets the takedown. You're thinking, okay, he's got it now. But, Jared Kessler's a guy that's not going to leave anything in the tank. He's going to throw everything at you. He tries a headlock and ended up getting credit for a reversal right at the buzzer. And so, yeah, we're tied. We're going into overtime. And then Welsh pulls it out there, so it was a fun match.
Yeah, and honestly, it was very reminiscent of the Southwest Regional match that they had, where Rocco Welsh was able to come out on top of that one. Very, very tight match. Dyson, what were your thoughts in watching that Kessler Welsh match? Because I know you and I were talking about just the back and forth and the physical strength of both of them, and it just seemed like it was a heck of a match to watch.
Yeah, it was crazy. Then, because it's right there at the end, Welsh got the takedown probably about 10 or 15 seconds left, I'd say, and then Welsh or Kessler, excuse me, was able to get a reversal right at the end with about only like 1 to 2 seconds left, and to tie it up to send it to overtime. And there was a couple flurries in overtime, and then Welsh was able to get the takedown. So, like you guys said, it was a really fun match.
And I think, honestly, for the fans, we're in store for another really good match, and that's in the finals. So, officially, right, these two, Alejandro Herrera and Rocco Welsh, they've wrestled 4 times this season. Last week was an injury default, so they didn't actually really compete. The 3 previous ones, in a dual meet, which we covered this one at the Kiski area duels, it was a 1-0 win for Alejandro. Next time they wrestled was in the PIAA Finals. That time it was a 9-4 win for AHR. Then they wrestled in the Southwest Regional Finals. It was a 2-0 win. And, of course, last week in the West Super Region was injury default. Now, of course, they wrestled also in True Power. Same result. Alejandro Herrera gets the win. So 5 times now Rocco Welsh has fallen to AHR. Kind of like Brock McMillan and Ian Oswald, like we talked about yesterday. What is going to have to be different for Rocco Welsh to win this one? Because, talking to AHR, he says, I love wrestling Rocco Welsh because I find different ways to beat him. At Powerade, I just out-scrambled him. In that dual meet, I just rode him out and out-gutted him. It seems like, he just finds different ways to get those wins. And, Eric, what are we expecting here in the finals? Because I'm expecting a pretty good one.
Yeah, I mean, you would think that it would be certainly favor AHR the way he's wrestled against Rocco in the past, but the way Waynesburg is wrestling today and finding ways to pull out wins, I don't know that I'd bet against them. They've just, as we said, they've been behind big and won. They've been winning late and giving up a lead and won. I mean, they've done it just about every way you can do it. So who's to say Rocco Welsh doesn't kind of shock everyone here and get a victory tonight?
Yeah, it's weird because I kind of feel like if he's going to win one, now is the time when he's going to win it, right? And the other ones, obviously, they didn't mean a whole lot more than this one, but it just feels like the Waynesburg magic or something. I don't know what it is. I just feel like this is a very good shot for him to knock him off. Now, I'm going to preface it with saying AHR looked absolutely dominant in the first 2 rounds. He gets a tech fall in the opening round over Dom D'Agostino from Interboro, and then beats Panero Johnson 5-2, but he was really in control of that match pretty well, in my opinion. 5-2 over a guy who's going to Iowa State, a 4-time state medalist, pretty impressive for a guy who's nationally ranked to set up that match with Rocco Welsh. So, HR, is peaking at the right time. Dyson, you were there at the Tyrone Armory when we saw this match before. Are we going to see a 1-0 or are we going to see a 6-4 match here? What are we going to see, Dyson?
I'm leaning more towards a 6-4. I think we see a high-scoring match. Well, if it is low-scoring, I think there's still going to be a lot of scrambles.
Good flurries,
and and flurries. But I think we'll see a lot of scoring. Like you said, kind of like a 6-4 match.
Yeah, I'm hoping so, but honestly, with those guys wrestling, a 1-0 match was still an exciting match that we saw at Kiski. Let's go up to 160 pounds, where number 1 in the state, Jagger Condomiti, again, number 1 in the state, like Carson Wagner, his teammate earlier, Condomiti was pushed in early and often. So he wrestled in the first round Chase Krantz from Norway, a guy who was 4th in the super region last weekend. Very solid wrestler, second time making a Hershey, first time earning a medal. Condomiti beats him 5-3, but it was a tight match. Then in the semifinals, he has Matt Colagesi, who I thought looked really good against Ethan Rickner from Bellefonte, who is a West Super Region runner-up. I thought that was going to be a tight match. Colagesi comes out on top 1-0. But in that match with Condomiti, Colagesi pushed him. Eric, I don't know if you were able to catch that one or not, but Condomiti was, I believe he went down 2-0 to start. I'm gonna double check that, but I believe he went down 2-0. Yeah, he went down 2-0, reversed them to make it 2-2. Colagesi escaped. They exchanged the penalty point, and then Condomiti got the reversal in the third period to get the win there. But a really good balanced match there for Condomiti. So it's nice to see these guys like Wyatt Henson, Jagger Condomiti, both guys that we saw in Flo's Who's Number One event, so nationally powers here, get pushed by some of these guys that aren't necessarily in the talks.
Yeah, one of the drawbacks to 145 and 152 being so exciting and so great is that I was running around doing interviews with guys from those weights, and I didn't see any of 160. So you guys are going to have to – I'll take your word for what happened there, because I got the results, but I didn't get to see any wrestling there.
Well, we will help you out there, because I did get to see that. Luckily, I was not running around doing interviews. My son's asleep, my wife's asleep, my dog's asleep. So I was like being real quiet, to make sure no one – so I wasn't really talking, but I was watching. In the 160 – Condomiti pushed. He makes it to the finals. This is the second time in a row he made it to the finals. Last year loses to Cole Handlevick. On the bottom half, Jack McGill pins Ryan Fry from red line in 5 minutes and 2 seconds. Cole Spencer gets a fall over Landon Muth on Becca, setting up a number 2 versus number 3. Cole Spencer was 4th in the state last year. He was number 2 in the state. Jack McGill, 5th in the state last year. He's number 3. McGill won a 5-2 tight match. And, that was probably the one of those semifinal matches I was looking forward to the most, because Cole Spencer, we saw him get pushed this year multiple times. He lost to Avery Bassett, who we saw last night in the state finals. McGill, again, a guy who lost to Condomiti in the finals last week at the East Super Region. So that sets up an all-East finals there between Jack McGill and Jagger Condomiti. If you remember that from last weekend, Joe Youngblood and I talked about this. A little bit of controversy. There was kind of a little bit of a roughness there on McGill. Condomiti ends up winning at 9-3. He kind of opened it up late. But I think this one's going to be tight, and I think it's going to be physical. Eric, what do you think about – I know you didn't see anything, but give me your thoughts on McGill and Condomiti.
Sorry, you cut out there for a minute. Did you say give me your
thoughts. Give me your thoughts, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be interesting, especially what you talked about, with a little bit of controversy last week. That adds a little bit more spice to it. That we'll see if that carries over into this week and we get kind of heated right from the get-go, or how it goes. But Jagger Condomiti, we obviously know a lot about him. Nebraska recruit, great kid. I think it's going to be interesting to see how it goes with McGill.
Yeah, McGill's going to Columbia. Both these guys are seniors. Condomiti's just been there so many times before. 3-time state medalist now. He's been so close before. Again, last year with Cole Handlevick. I just feel like it's Jaggers to lose here, and I think he does end up getting the win. Dysen, your thoughts on 160? Do you think Jaggers going to pull it out?
Yeah, I think Jagger gets it. I think it's going to be a tight match, but I got Jagger.
All right, so let's go up to 172 pounds. At 172 pounds on the top half, Dom Falcone of Easton, he's able to get a 7-3 win over Lance Urbis from State College. I thought that was a really good win for him. And then Luca Augustine beats Sonny Sasso 5-0, setting up a Luca Augustine versus Dom Falcone match, which was pretty highly anticipated considering both guys were state medalists last year, with Falcone and Augustine both wrestling at different weights. Falcone was 7th. Luke Augustine was 6th. Luke Augustine ends up getting the 4-2 win. He actually had a stall. He got that win on a stall call. It was a tight match there, and I know Dysen, you and I were talking about this one a little bit. But Augustine, he really pushed the pace, gets the stall call. Augustine then ends up getting a takedown with 2 seconds left. He ends up winning it. You got to feel good, Dysen, about Luke Augustine. I know we talked about it all week, of him and Trey Kibe rematch, and that's what we're going to get here.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. I'm taking Augustine in this one. I think Augustine gets it. rematch from last week, a 5-3 win for Kai last week, I believe. I think Augustine's gonna come out on top in this rematch.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good.
Wow, you're buying the Waynesburg Magic, huh?
He's buying, yeah, Eric. He's buying the Waynesburg Magic, and maybe he's not wrong. Eric, if you look at this bracket, so in the bracket you have Trey Kibe who beat Sammy Starr in a very tight match, and we kind of figured that was going to be close. Trey Kibe, undefeated on the year, he was fourth last year, champion as a sophomore. He ends up getting the 4-2 win over Sammy Starr, who got a 35-second pin in the opening round. Trey Kibe beat Matt Romanelli. So, I mean, obviously, we saw this last week in the West Super Region. It was a tight match. Of course, won by Trey Kibe in 5-3 fashion. What are we expecting here with Trey Kibe and Luca Augustine in that rematch, which we should have saw at True Power as well?
Yeah, this is one we're really looking forward to at True Power. Injury right before the match, unfortunately, prevented us from seeing that. But, I mean, I got to lean with Kibe until, somebody shows me differently. I think he's the favorite in my mind. Augustine has looked good. As you said, Falcone really pushed him in that match. So, he's been tested here. But I think Kibe is my pick right at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Dyson's shaking his head, but I just think Kibe finds a way to win. I like the Waynesburg Magic, and I think he's certainly going to push the pace, but I just can't see. Kibe just finds ways to win. He's last year against Luca or Max Stout. He lost in that heartbreaker match, but majority of the time he shows up and he wins big matches. Let's go up to 189 pounds, where really the bracket got busted open in the bottom half, and that's because Isaiah Reinhardt of Easton, who was a returning state medalist for the Red Rovers, 7th in the state last year, he misses weight. Eric, can you tell us anything about that?
I was told that he missed by 1/10 of a pound. So, it was right there and just couldn't get that last 10th off. And so, yeah, that obviously was a big blow there to the bracket whenever you lose a guy like Isaiah Reiner before you even starts. And one of the day, we saw it in the lightweights with Camden Williams not making weight. So really one of the big stories of this AAA day is top guys missing weight, which you don't see too often here. It happens every couple of years. But to have two guys who were legitimate threats to be in the finals and win titles miss out on that opportunity because they couldn't make weight is really kind of stunning.
Yeah, and Isaiah Reinhardt came in ranked number 2 in the state. So by default, Justin Hart gets that win on the bottom half. Now on the bottom half, Ethan Rossman and from Belfont and Bryce Molinaro from Hazleton battled 7-1. This sets up a rematch with Hart and Rossman, where last week they wrestled and Rossman beat him 4-3. This time around, of course, Rossman would go on to win the West Super Region. Hart would finish 3rd. When you look at the reversals of fortune, we talked about it all day earlier today. Caden Williams reversed the role of Tyler Chappell. Kale Nazio over Dom Flat. We see the reversals here. And honestly, it's just a week later. That short memory is critical because this time around, it is Justin Hart who gets the win over Rossman. He beats him 3-2 to make it to the finals of the state tournament. I mean, I was pretty shocked by that. Eric, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Hart's a guy that's been around for a while, and we knew that he's a quality guy, that he was good. But today, he only had the one match, so he really stepped up to that level at the one time that he had it. And I never know if that's an advantage or not, because a lot of guys like that first match to kind of get their legs under them. They get a little bit of a feel, they get a sweat going, and then they feel better in the second match. So I'm never sure if that's an advantage or not whenever you get that, the pre-win that way of being the forfeit.
Yeah, that's a good point. He does get he doesn't have to wrestle a full 6 minutes, but he does, wrestle, that 6 minutes against Rossman, gets the win 3-2. He's a 4-time state qualifier, first time earning a medal is this year, and he makes the state finals. He's going to have his hands full, though, with number 1 in the state, Joey Milano of Springford. The NC State recruit has been firing on all cylinders. He beats Colt Barley 9-0 in the first round to set up a Drew Cleary-Joey Milano match, which these guys have wrestled multiple times in their careers. Drew Cleary beats Brooks Gable 8-1. It was all Milano in a 6-4 victory. Milano's now in the state finals after finishing 4th last year. Dyson, you got to like the NC State recruit here, Joey Milano, to get his first state title.
Yeah, like you said, he's been clicking on all cylinders, looking good so far this tournament. So definitely got to go Milano.
All right, so we have a District 1 versus a District 7 match at 189. At 215 pounds, we have an all District 3 finals, and this one was a pretty wacky bracket as well because Ryan Kaka wins by default over Cole Waitman of Bell Vernon, who last year was a state sixth-place medalist, state semifinals. He's injured. Apparently, he's walking around on crutches at Hershey. So Kaka wins by forfeit, but then loses to his future teammate at Navy, Jake Lucas. Now, Jake Lucas beats Josh Harkless in the regional finals, loses to him in the West regional finals, super regional finals. Jake Lucas gets a 13-2 win over Quinn Collins in the quarterfinals to face Kaka. Kaka then falls to Lucas 5-2. Eric, I know you got to catch a little bit of that match. These guys are future teammates at Navy. You talked to Jake Lucas afterwards. He's in the state finals after losing in the West Super Region. Has to feel pretty good.
Yeah, he's obviously very excited about that. He wrestled Katka last year for third place and lost that one in tiebreaker, I believe. And I asked him, I said, what's the difference between this year's match and last year? He said last year he was definitely the better hand fighter. You know, he controlled that aspect of the match. And he said, I really worked on that. And now this year, I felt like I was the better hand fighter. And then that really made a difference in the outcome of that match. And he said it was also really important, as you said, they're going to be teammates at Navy. He said, you know, these are guys that could be battling for a spot, you know, coming a year or two down the line in the Navy lineup. And so it was important for him to get this victory and really give himself a solid chance, you know, heading into that to feel like he's going to be the guy eventually in that Navy lineup.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And the finals match that he's going to have is a rubber match with Josh Harkless. Lucas beat him in the South Central Regional Finals 3-1, and then Harkless turns around and beats him in the West Super Region 3-2. Harkless had to survive Logan Harmon of Armstrong in a very tight match. That one went down to the wire there at 215 pounds, 3-1 in sudden victory. Harmon wins over Jason Henderson, returning state medalist from Delaware Valley, 3-1, and then he injury defaulted out. But Harkless had to survive a tough match with him after beating Carl DiGiorgio from Central Bucks West. So in all District 3 finals here, Eric, what are your thoughts on this rematch here? This is the third rubber match. This is the third match between these two. You know, what are your thoughts?
It should be pretty interesting. These guys, they almost look like carbon copies of each other. I mean, they're both really, I mean, obviously 215 in AAA, you're not going to have any, you know, short, pudgy kids out there. They're going to be well put together. They're going to be muscular. You know, they're going to be impressive specimens. But both of these guys fit that mold perfectly. And I think it's going to be a really close match, similar styles. I think it's going to be a tight one. I mean, I like Lucas, the way, you know, went out and got that win over Katka. Might be a little bit of a limb that I'm out on, but I think I'm going to go with Lucas in this one.
Dysen, what are your thoughts in the all District 3 finals here?
I'm going to go Lucas as well. Don't really know too much about these guys, but I think Lucas coming in, looking good so far this tournament. I'm going to take Lucas.
All right, now Eric, Dyson's a freshman. Dysen wrestled 106 pounds this year. Sean Kinney's a freshman from Nazareth, and he's wrestling 285 pounds, and he's in the state finals. Are you kidding me? So we hit the encyclopedias before we got here. Adam LaPiclio of Susquehannock was the last freshman finalist at a heavyweight division. That was back in 2000 at 275 pounds. He lost to John Kondo of Phillipsburg Osceola, 6'5". Adam LaPiclio would go on to finish second twice again in his career. Sean Kinney pulled probably one of the biggest upsets, in my opinion, of the round, if not the whole tournament, when he beat a senior Isaiah Vance, who's going to Army. I mean, after seeing how good Isaiah Vance was last week against Nate Schoen, I was very surprised to see Sean Kinney, a freshman, who only has wrestled in the postseason. Nazareth had no regular season wrestling going on, and he was able to win against Isaiah Vance after losing in the East Super Region last week. Eric, you got to talk to him afterwards. What were his thoughts and what was his reaction?
I mean, first of all, really impressive for a freshman. You know, sometimes you interview a freshman and they're kind of all over the place. They don't really know what to say, how to conduct themselves. But he's obviously a very mature freshman, which is what helped him get to the state finals appearance. and helped him take out, as you said, a great wrestler and Isaiah Vance. I mean, coming into this, I thought we were pretty much, I thought it was a Nate Schoen, Isaiah Vance lock to be in the finals because both of those guys were so good. But, Sean Kinney goes out, not intimidated at all by the really big and talented Isaiah Vance, gets the takedown on him. That to me, that really was the difference, was he got that early takedown. Vance was able to come back and tie it up, but Kinney then gets an escape, and Vance has to kind of commit and really go for a takedown. Kinney gets another one, ends up winning at 6-3, but just a really impressive performance. Even if he was a senior, that was an impressive performance against a guy like Isaiah Vance. And for a freshman, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Eric. Had that been a senior, it's still very impressive. But that's a freshman, so clearly he was firing on all cylinders. With a minute and 2 into the match, he gets that takedown, which I believe is the difference there. Isaiah Vance then escapes, and as you mentioned, it was just a little bit too late. Isaiah Vance gets a stall call on him on the second period. Sean Kinney escapes. Then Isaiah Vance gets a reversal, but again, Sean Kinney just he hangs on, gets the takedown at the end to win it. That was a huge match there at 285 pounds because, like you said, Eric, I think we were all expecting a Nate Schoen versus Isaiah Vance finals match, especially after last week. But now I kind of feel like Nate Schoen's a little bit in the driver's seat here because, he is now, I mean, I'm not saying he's favored against Sean Kinney after he beat, Isaiah Vance, but I'm thinking he's in pretty good position because I think that's a better matchup for him. Eric, would you agree with that? And you got to unmute yourself. I muted you, Eric. Eric, I muted you. You got to unmute yourself on Skype. I muted you. It's too loud at the Giants Center.
Come on, I've been turning my microphone off whenever I'm not talking. Let me talk.
No, we can hear. We can still hear you even when your microphone's talking.
Oh, really? I turned it off so that the music wasn't too loud. But all right, sorry. Anyway, yeah, I will say it. Nate Schoen is the favorite over Sean Kinney. I think that's, I was an awesome win by Kinney. I'm very impressed by him, but I'm still saying that Nate Schoen is the favorite until I am proved otherwise. I mean, you're right. Kinney did a great job against Vance, but that I'm the leader of the Nate Schoen fan club. He's a guy that I've been covering for years, and he's a lot of fun to watch. I don't know. I heard some grumblings that he was sick last week or something. I don't know. I don't think Nate would make that excuse, but I've kind of heard that he didn't wrestle his best against Vance. I think he would have loved to have had another shot at Vance in the finals. But yeah, I just Nate Schoen has too much big match experience and too much offensive firepower. I think I got to take him over Kinney, even though Kinney was super impressive so far today.
Yeah, I would agree with you that it's probably, he's a little bit more the favorite, having been a state champion before. This is his third time now in the state finals. But I will say, I'm not saying he struggled with Billy McChesney, but he was pushed in that match. The last time they wrestled at the Super Region, he pinned him in like 50-some seconds. This time around, he only beats him 6-4. He gets taken down at the end. And, I know he wasn't happy with his performance, but, Schoen was certainly pushed in that match. Dysen, being a fellow freshman, what kind of advice do you give to Sean Kinney going against the Iowa State recruit and a senior state champion like Nate Schoen? What do you say to him, Dysen?
Go out there and, just do what he's been doing. He's got a pin over Dawson Dietz, number 3 ranked guy. Then, as we talked about, he beat Vance 6-3. So just go out there and do what he's been doing. I think Sean Kinney, the freshman. I'm riding with Sean Kinney, the freshman.
So Eric, you've been on the Nate Schoen train like I have for a while. It looks like Dysen Gould's jumping on the Sean Kinney train. So I don't
give
know
me the
what
freshman.
You want the freshman.
I'll tell you what. If Sean Kinney beats Schoen, he's got my vote for OW.
Okay. All right. I can agree with that. He would be the first freshman ever in the history of the PIAA to win a state title at heavyweight. So, he'd be setting
not
history.
Only that, but it's not like this is a weak heavyweight field.
No.
You can see that happen some years where you're like, all right, nobody really stood out in that field. A freshman went and did it. This is a freaking good field with Nate Schoen and Isaiah Vance in it alone. So if he comes out and wins that, yeah, to me, he's the OW, no doubt.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. Beating a state champ and beating a state runner-up, that's worthy of the cause. Eric, I know we're starting in 5 minutes up another round, so we're going to sign off with you. Thank you for joining us here on the PA Power Hour. We look forward to talking to you a little bit later after these finals, but appreciate your time today, Eric. Keep on crushing it. You're doing a great job.
All right, thanks, guys. See you
Thanks,
later.
Eric. So if you're looking at the schedule here, the consolation semifinals for 106 through 138 start in 4 minutes at 4 o'clock. And then the placement rounds will start at 5. So that Parade of Champions, that round for the 106 through 138 will start at 5. Then we come back at 145 through 285 at 7 o'clock for the consolation semifinals, finals, and medal rounds at 8 o'clock. It was pushed back yesterday for AA, so I expect probably to be the same thing this time around. I'm not sure exactly, but it seems like that's kind of been the way it's been going. It's been kind of dragging a little bit. Dysen, you gonna stay awake for these last couple rounds? I know you're tired.
I'm gonna run downstairs, put some loud music on, and get fired up for some AAA State Finals.
All right, man. Let's get it, and can't wait to see what happens here in the lightweight finals here. Make sure you're staying tuned in to PA Power Wrestling on Twitter. Check us out on Rockfin. We're gonna have a lot of content coming your way from Hershey and the Giant Center. Dysen, I'll talk to you soon. All right.
See ya.
See ya.